The first excerpt is out from Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.
And she went all in on her old boss.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
There's a theme throughout the chapter, and we'll get in and out of the excerpts in this hour with Kennedy just to have some fun. There's only so much murder crime, criminal acts we can discuss on this show before somebody frickin' snaps.
I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit.
Tell me about it. But the Kamala thing, a nice reprieve. But what you're going to notice, and there's an overlapping theme in the Democrat Party, and I'm not saying this to alienate any Democrat listener. I need anyone that'll tolerate this mediocrity, we need to beg and plead with to stick around.
That's true. That is true.
We don't have the kind of talent where we can start alienating subsets of listeners. You are all welcome here. I say it every day. But there's this lack of accountability in the Democrat Party as a whole. If you've noticed the big argument in the first hour of the show, this guy killed a girl, beautiful young girl down in North Carolina. And that guy had been arrested 14 previous times for violent crimes. He's out. He should be accounted. He should be held accountable. This guy should be rotting in a jail cell right now. Okay? But the Democrats are like, no, the Republicans are racist. Why are they even saying that? We're saying this because regardless of what your color is, if you kill somebody, you don't belong out in free society. It's a very basic ask. Okay? But they're not in the business of holding oneself accountable. They want to outsource their failings to the rest of us. Okay, do you remember when the George Floyd killing happened? They told us, well, there have been problems in this city for the last 50 or 60 years, just like they were these problems in Baltimore and Chicago and Detroit and Milwaukee and San Francisco and Los Angeles. And what did every single one of those cities have in common? They'd been run by Democrats for 60 years. But the Democrats tried to say these cities were failing because America is systemically racist. That's the real problem here. The whole country's so freaking racist that we have these problems exclusively in all the Democrat cities.
That is a lie.
But that's what they were going with. No, you don't understand. America is systemically racist. That's why we have these very specific problems in Baltimore, D.C., Chicago, L.A., San Francisco, Milwaukee, play along at home, Detroit, Michigan. What do they all have in common again and again and again? They're run by Democrats who don't really care. They don't care about black lives. They care about black votes. That's a big thing. Gianno Caldwell wrote a best-selling book about it. Okay? Charles Barkley is immortalized forever on this show because he was asked during the last election, why is Joe Biden losing black support?
The reason I think the Democratic Party and Mr. Biden, President Biden, is losing black votes is they only care about black people every 4 years.
Whoa, that was Charles Barkley saying Democrats only care about black people every 4 years.
Tell it like it is.
Straight up, that is the reality. Okay, if you look at Biden getting elected, it was supposed to be a referendum on how America had failed the black community. Did anything improve for the black community during Biden's presidency? Murder rate went up. Okay, that's not ideal. The proficiency rate in schools went all the way down, all the way down.
I love the poorly educated.
Cities like Chicago, 30% of the students can read. Guys, 70% of the kids in this country at a high school level can't read. Okay, predominantly they are in black inner cities where the Democrats oppose school choice. But again, when we started the Department of Education, we were ranked number 1 in the world in education. We are now sitting here 40 years later, ranked 38th, despite the fact that we spend more money for pupil than any other country in the world. So think of it like sports. If you had the highest payroll and you came in 38th place, highest payroll, and you're in 38th place?
Step into my office. What? Because you're fired.
You are fired. But they want you to believe it's not the Department of Education. It's, it's not that we're not educating anymore. We're indoctrinating. Tolerance, inclusion. That kids are trapped in the wrong body. We need to focus on these things. That's the Democrat approach to education now. Is they're not there to educate, they're there to indoctrinate. And that's why nobody can read or write or do math anymore. We're now living in an America where we teach kids to subtract their junk before we teach them to add their numbers.
What the hell did you just say?
I didn't just say, they said it. That's why nobody can add, nobody can do math. Okay, you don't learn long division by tipping a drag queen named Cinnabons. Yeah, well, yeah. Sorry, kids. Like it or not, if you go to school in the Blue City, the drag queens are coming. Cinnabons is coming. Here comes Cinnabons. Here comes that whole thing. But anyway, okay, that lack of accountability, that nonstop obsession with outsourcing their own societal failings to the rest of us is where we find ourselves in this Kamala Harris book. In one paragraph, she bashes the Bidens, bashes the media, she bashes the members of his cabinet, she, of course, bashes Donald Trump, but does she have a single self-effacing word for herself?
The answer would be no.
No, of course not. And that's the bigger problem for Kamala. Kamala is someone who has failed upward. Okay, well, listen. When it comes to San Francisco politics, now to be clear, if anybody knows the Willie Brown story, technically speaking, she started from the bottom.
I love it when you talk dirty.
I mean, she started all the way from the bottom.
Oh, yes, I've read about that in the Bible.
But stick with me. Jimmy's being silly. But yeah, she might have slept her way into a couple of jobs in San Francisco and got on the map. I don't care. Politics is a dirty game. And she was successful. She was a senator. She was an attorney general. And yes, she became a vice president for no other reason than because Joe Biden said, we are going to put a woman of color on the ticket. Like, it's technically illegal to say all other races need not apply. Remember the old Tesla song, signs, signs, everywhere signs? Well, the sign said, white people, Indian people, Muslim people, Asian people, Latino people, get out. That's what the sign said. We're putting a black woman in as VP because it's not about proficiency. It's about identity in the Democratic Party. They don't want a meritocracy. They want everything to be filtered through the lens of race. That's what they wanted to do. That's why she wound up on the ticket. So the people who picked her purely because of her race didn't really think anything of her. And her big complaint is that whenever she was criticized, the White House wasn't quick enough to defend her. And although Biden probably should have dropped out of the race sooner, she didn't want to look disloyal. I actually agree with that. And I'll tell you why. For real. When Joe Biden dropped out of the race, he endorsed Kamala Harris.
I don't remember that ever happening.
But he did. That was the first thing he did after he dropped out of the race. He endorsed Kamala Harris to spite the donors, to spite the party leaders who wanted him out of the race. He's like, fine, I'll go. But you know what? Kamala. And they were angry. If you remember, Barack Obama tweeted the minute Biden dropped out, Joe's been great, public servant. We look forward to having a rigorous 6-week primary to decide who the Democrats' standard bearer should be. And a minute after Obama sent out his tweet, the Biden sent out an endorsement of Kamala.
That's just how white folks will do you.
Amen. And the white folks did him that way. And apparently the Obamas and the Bidens still don't talk, according to some of the reporting in this book. But whether that's true or not, the fact remains, the reason Kamala didn't want to say Biden should get off the ticket is she obviously had the most to gain from getting rid of the guy. She stood to be the next president if he was forced out of office due to the 25th Amendment. And of course, if she had the ambitions of getting the nomination on her own, her telling Biden to leave the race would have looked self-serving to Biden, at which point he probably would have been a lot less likely to endorse her, you understand? And based on what we now know about the Bidens, okay, there was no way he was leaving the presidency. Yeah, he ultimately came off the ticket, but he wasn't leaving the presidency because they had a lot of pardons that they needed to sell. And yes, a couple of pardons they needed to legitimately sign because of his kid.
Hunter's a dirtbag.
Well, don't stop at Hunter, because everything Hunter was accused of on that laptop linked him directly to Joe Biden.
Are you the big man, Joe?
Every one of his living, breathing business partners said yes, he was. The two whistleblowers at the IRS, Gary Shapley on our international tax evasion team, said all roads to corruption ran through the Bidens. They were flagged 157 times by Barack Obama's Treasury Department. When Biden was VP, there were 157 different occasions where Obama's Treasury Department said, hey, what's up with this money coming in for the Bidens? It goes through 65, 66 different bank accounts. It winds up with their grandkids somehow. Does that sound legitimate?
Not even close.
So anyway, Kamala Harris was party to a lot of this, party to a lot of it. She knew Biden was a hot mess, but she knew if she tried to push him off the ticket, there was no chance she was going to end up on it. So in the overall scheme of things, Kamala Harris actually played it right when it comes to her political instincts to getting the nomination. She just played it wrong in every other sense of the word. She was weapons grade stupid. Okay, she was the one at a time when the economy was cratering and it was the 1 and 1A issue with the border, she got out on the campaign trail and said Bidenomics is working.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics. And as today's jobs numbers make clear, Bidenomics is working. Bidenomics. And Bidenomics is working. Trump's economic plans going forward would raise inflation and send us into a recession by 2025.
Oh, wow. Get out of here.
She's not real smart.
Because Kamala just said Trump's economic plans going forward would raise inflation, start a recession by 2025. We just reported in the last segment that inflation is down a full point lower below expectations.
Oh, wow!
It's the first time since 2020 that inflation is below 3%. They expected it to come in at 3.3. It wound up at 2.6, a huge win for the American economy. So not only was she wrong, but she was sticking by Biden policies after becoming the nominee. The commercial that actually sank her battleship was something Trump ran on NFL Sundays that was phenomenal. Kamala famously bragged about changing the laws in the California prison system so transgender inmates who were in jail for violent crimes could get free gender reassignment surgery courtesy of the taxpayer.
Kamala is so stupid.
But here she is bragging about it. This wound up being the best commercial of the campaign for Trump.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right, a client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General, right. Of the Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
Oh, my goodness.
Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid.
Trump ran that commercial with Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. It's a devastating commercial. Ran on NFL Sundays. I never forget watching Charlemagne talk about it down the hall, or WOR, his studio's down the hall on his end of it on Power 105. And, he knew that was effective. Nobody in America, nobody in America, single moms, poor families, nobody is sitting around at the dinner table going, we couldn't pay the electric bill this month. But more importantly, the White House is going to make sure we give free sex changes to migrant immigrants who are in this country illegally. I'm glad we finally have somebody who's looking out for the needs.
What sort of sad, twisted and tiny leftist echo chamber does that woman belong to?
It's really sad. But that's who Kamala was. Okay, she goes on to say, as the vice president, it was kind of an unprecedented situation because she was the first female black vice president, so she had a lot more press attention than traditional vice presidents. That's not even remotely true. It's just that social media has become a bigger factor in our lives now. Okay, the truth is, Kamala wasn't anywhere. Do you remember when I used to do Harris Faulkner's show every Friday back in the day? I was doing a lot of daytime TV before they gave me a nighttime show. You kind of promote your own show in the windows that it airs. So if you notice, like tonight I'm supposed to be on Waters World, pending breaking news. Last night I was on the Ingram Angle. Friday I'll be on Hannity. You frequent the time slot you're on in a lot more than the other one. So in the beginning, when I didn't have a TV show, you'd see me on Fox and Friends every day, or every Tuesday, or America's Newsroom every Monday, or Harris Faulkner every Friday. Or once in a while I'd do it outnumbered. So that was my schedule back then. And the one hit we were doing over and over and over again in those first 2 years was, where is Kamala? They're not actually putting her out there. She had massive staff turnover. She blamed that on the fact that the media was subjecting her to too much scrutiny. And again, if you're going to sit there and tell us every one of your problems is the media's fault, the patriarchy's fault, Joe Biden's fault, Jill Biden's fault, the party's fault, right-wing media's fault, okay, when you want to be the president of the United States, you can't just utter out a blame and walk away from the problem. The problem remains, and it affects 330 million people. But the only thing we learned from Kamala's book is that she's not equipped to represent 330 million people. because she's only concerned about one of those people. Got a lot to get to, but first and foremost, we have to welcome our next guest, a star of stage and screen, the host of a wiener roast this weekend. A lot of people, they may or may not know that about you, but Kennedy is here, and if ever there was a time to hide your wieners, it is right now. Good to see you. How about it?
Jim!
So you're basically having like an Oktoberfest for all intents and purposes this weekend?
Yeah, it's a select,
Yeah.
small group of people.
Of friends, and I can't go because I'm going to Lincoln's football game. As you know, I got a lot of cash on these games.
It's not too late to give them up for adoption.
we tried to sell them. When I was a cab driver, blonde hair, blue eyes on the deep web. Come on. I have a 6'5" blonde hair, blue eyed kid. We named him Lincoln because it just had a nicer ring than Hitler's dream. You know what I mean? Come on, you freak, psycho, white supremacists. I'm kidding. These are jokes. Did you see? I laughed about this. The Kamala book excerpt.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
But it's perfect her, though, because she's outsourcing everything she did wrong to everybody else.
Yes.
That's the whole book.
And, you know, she's like, I was not given the opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
Because he didn't realize that when I shine, he shines.
Yeah.
And it's like, lady, the reason he stayed in the race, the reason they propped up that vegetable was because you couldn't shine.
Thank you.
Because you were an absolute dim-witted moron.
She has a great line.
It wasn't allowed to, it was zero sum. I think she doesn't know what that means. Then, okay, define positive sum. Go. She would not be able to with either.
She would have quoted a lyric from the band Sum 41. I mean, we all know how this would have ended, but give me this.
I love Derek Whitby.
Because she said at one point...
I listened to Sum 41 in college when I was high.
Oh, remember she said she listened...
Yeah.
I listened to Tupac and Biggie in college. Neither of them had put out an album.
No.
Within 10 years of her graduating college. That's amazing. But there was a point in that excerpt from The Atlantic where she goes, you know, Joe Biden's team was getting upset as my popularity was rising. I'm like, you were at 33%.
Yes.
No one was threatened by your 33% poll number, even if he was at 34.
Yeah, no, I mean, they spent 4 years going, why did we pick her?
Yeah.
My God. Like, if Trump became ill, God forbid, at least you go, well, I picked a smart, competent vice president, like the country will be in good hands.
Yeah. But no, not Biden. Like, they would have,
It's like how parents must feel when they have a child with special needs who, you know, can't dress themselves, can't vocalize, and they're just like, we can never die.
Yeah.
You know, that's how Biden was with Kamala Harris.
It's basically how Jenny is with me and Lincoln. She's like, oh, this does not end good.
I've seen the two of you in grocery stores.
Yeah, it ain't pretty.
Poor Jenny.
Poor Jenny Failer. She's fighting a good fight out there. Your boy Eric Swalwell actually just weighed in on. This is really funny. I don't know what he was doing on CNN. I don't know. They've just.
Why did they put? He's another one. It's like, why did they put a microphone in front of his face?
So embarrassing.
Yeah,
like him and Kinzinger
it's painful.
come on.
Yeah.
Well, maybe CNN might have hired a new Asian anchor. I don't know what was going on there. You know,
he's like a magnet.
I said this earlier. Swalwell likes Chinese takeout as much as anybody. As much as anybody. Why does this guy keep ordering a 69? What's going on here?
Hungry an hour later.
Oh, man. Justin, can you play the Swalwell call for? I just love this.
As far as his health goes, Joe Biden looks like an Olympic athlete compared to the illnesses that he's hiding. Donald Trump is a broken man who has broken all of his promises, and we're all starting to pay for it, and we're going to be a broken country pretty soon.
Joe Biden looks like an Olympic athlete. That Olympic sport is wandering into the woods mid-speech. Do you remember that Olympic?
What happened to his head?
I know.
Did Eric Swalwell not address like the giant wound he has? And it's like, no one has said anything like, did he fall down? Go boom because he can't walk anymore? Yeah. Did he wake up in the middle of the night and had low blood pressure and hit his head on the bedside table? Did he have surgery?
Yep.
Like what like that's not an Olympic athlete I want on my team.
Undisclosed injuries. And that's the saddest part of the whole Biden presidency is that obviously he was mishandled and probably abused by the people closest to him, but he's also the least consequential president in terms of his day-to-day relevance we've ever had.
Yeah. I mean, it has not been, 8 months, 9 months, and people are like, oh, he was president?
Think about this.
It's like Tim Kaine. Like people have no idea, A, who he is, B, that he was Hillary Clinton's vice presidential nominee.
90% of the kids listening to the show right now think Tim Kaine invented a chicken fingers chain restaurant.
He's like, I love Raisin Canes. That Texas toast, that's yummy good.
If you were to ask the average person who's Tim Kaine, they'd be like,
that would actually be really fun. I would like to go to Pele's college.
Yeah.
And just ask some of the students, who is Tim Kaine?
Yeah.
Because they just got a Raisin Canes in their town. And there'd probably be a lot of enthusiasm for him.
A lot of honey mustard sauce went into the making of Kennedy's poll. A lot of honey mustard sauce. Yeah, totally true. But when you think about Biden, since you raised the point, he is an ex-president who in his first 8 months out of office has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and a massive head wound.
Yeah.
Neither of which managed to get an hour of headlines.
Well, I do feel better because, he's got a doctor at his bedside. Dr. Jill is there with a defibrillator and a tourniquet if it's ever necessary.
She's got his back. Dr. Jill. Do you remember the Whoopi? Listen, since the View's back in session, in honor of that, let me play you this clip. I know I've played it for you before, but it'll never not be funny.
Never.
This is Whoopi Goldberg recommending Jill Biden for Surgeon General.
Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. His wife.
Yeah. And the crowd's like,
he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing
hell of a doctor.
Doctor and PhD. I could be wrong. I thought she was
I think I could be wrong.
She's a teacher, but
she's a teacher, more of a teacher than a doctor.
But she teaches doctors.
Yeah.
A lot of people she taught grew up to be doctors.
I love that everyone's like, well, it's more of a PhD. Like, Whoopi, you're literally the dumbest person who's ever been on TV.
Who's ever lived. Yeah. And the people who are actually getting hit with a cattle prod to clap on that show.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
In this instance, they just organically clapped because they were like, oh, well, I guess, because if you're going to The View.
Yeah, you got a certificate to Golden Corral Buffet.
Yeah,
that's the only reason those people show up.
It's funny. We spent a lot of time smoking The View here at Fox, and they have a warm-up comic, a great girl, Regina DeSico. It's very Italian, and I run into her in comedy clubs all the time, and she does deserve hazard pay. Now, she is not the person who told me this. It's a good friend of this show's sister, who was a stagehand on The View.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Post Megan.
Okay.
Who switched to Tamron Hall because she said Whoopi has an aggressive habit.
Farting?
Farting around other people.
Yeah, Larry King had the same thing.
Is that true?
And that was because of his cardiac medication.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with his senior producer at MTV. She went over to MTV. She was great. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, Larry farts like a lot. And I'm like, that's so funny. Like, how do they? And I think she told me that he had a special cushion made on his chair that absorbed the sound.
That could eat him up?
Yeah, because they didn't want the mics to pick up his constant farting. So they had to invent some NASA technology for Larry King's ass to absorb their.
This is the hard-hitting journalism you come to Fox Across America for.
Right.
Hard-hitting, especially on that cushion. No one was hit harder than that cushion. I mean, if we're going to be clear. He was bringing the heat. Day in and day out.
Tapped out. Mercy ruled. Like,
but
help me, Lord.
I heard that about Whoopi too, and she was trying to, they're all weighing in on this. This is Charlotte story is the worst story ever, and it's the worst thing to cover in radio, and it's just a guy that should be in jail. His mom wanted him incarcerated in some capacity.
And his brother too. I mean, that's what's so sad.
It's bad. Sad. Yeah.
And it's like. You can be a mentally ill person and an evil person at the same time.
You can be all of it.
Did you see Unknown Number?
No, give it a minute.
I'm going to do a podcast about it tomorrow.
I know this.
My older daughter called me from college. She was like, my roommates and I just watched this show on Netflix. It is so disturbing. So, girl, small town, 14-year-old girl in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, Beale City. Has been dating this boy for a couple of years, starts to get all of these nasty texts in a group chat. Like, Owen doesn't like you. You're disgusting. You're ugly. He likes me. I make out with him.
Oh.
And then it progresses to, you're so ugly, kill yourself.
Oh, my God.
And if you don't kill yourself, we are going to come find you. We are going to kill you.
What?
And it's just gnarly. And so they figure out, they think it's another girl on her basketball team, and they're like, why would she do this? And so the person who's sending the text like frames the other girl, the popular girl on the basketball team, like must be her. And so the cops are interviewing that girl and her family. And she's like, it wasn't me. Like, I don't like this girl they're sending text to, but I swear it wasn't me. It turned out to be the girl's mom. The girl's own mother is sending her text.
The girl getting the text?
Yes.
Whoa.
It is wild. I'm doing a whole podcast about it tomorrow.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
What?
Yes.
It's the mom.
It's the mom.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So, but
So
even
the
if
mom
you
not like the boyfriend?
even if you know that, it's worth watching. So my younger daughter didn't know that, and she's like, "Oh, this is highly rated on Netflix. It's only an hour and a half." She didn't know, and then it makes the turn in the middle of the documentary, and you're like, "What?" And it's like the mom is crazy and evil. Like, you have to be an evil person to do that. She had gotten fired from her job, told her husband she was going to work every day, and would just sit on the computer and write these texts to her daughter for 8 hours a day.
I got nothing for you there. That is psychotic. Kennedy's in studio. Finkel is Einhorn, is what you're telling me. This is crazy. Straight Ace Ventura stuff. Is there a missing dolphin involved? This is... Come on, Snowflake. Get back here.
Laces out, Dan.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Well, the NFL is here. We got that going for us. We got... It's really psychotic. So I took Lincoln to see Aaron Rodgers play the Jets on Sunday.
And you said he looked good.
Aaron Rodgers looked great. He was the first player to debut with an NFL team and throw 4 touchdowns in the first game. He looked great.
Good for him.
Rolled out. His arm looked great. It's interesting. If you watch him play in person, he plays slow. And what I mean by slow, he has like this kind of nonchalant energy to him.
Yeah.
But he's obviously throwing missiles.
He's on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously going to like Joe Rogan doctors.
Yeah.
And it's like, it may not be for everybody, but for him, I'm glad it's working.
Yeah.
Because it gives everyone who's worried about their fitness as they age.
Yeah.
And it's like, if someone like Aaron Rodgers can come out and out Tom Brady,
yeah,
it's a win for humanity.
In a weird way, it is. That's a win for the point spread, which is all we care about in the Failer House. We'll take that. But the Steelers are playing the Jets. It's funny, the Jets had Justin Fields, who was the Steelers quarterback last year. So the Steelers started. It was a matchup of the 2 teams starting opening day quarterbacks from the previous year.
That's funny.
Which is weird. And we were in the same stadium where we saw Oasis. And there were, because that's where you saw Oasis. That's where me and Brenberg was on yesterday. That changed his life, by the way. How good was Oasis? Did we discuss this?
Yeah, I've been listening to Oasis ever since.
They were great.
Yeah.
They were so good.
It makes me so happy how infectious that concert was.
Thank you. Every song was a sing-along.
Yeah.
But it was like, we haven't had like a monstrous rock presence, on the world stage like this in a long time. I mean, they might have been the last one, but by 2009, we didn't really care the way we did for the reunion. It was amazing.
And I went and saw The Who 2 nights before, and they were incredible.
They showed up.
Yeah. Like, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey were unbelievable. And they were making fun of their age.
Yeah.
Roger Daltrey cannot dance, but his voice was pristine. And talk about a sing-along.
Yeah.
Like, you forget how many Who songs you know.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Is it concerning when they sing "Who Are You" to each other, though? I mean, they're up there. They are.
And they were making fun of themselves like, we should not be singing My Generation. I've never seen so many people like double grab the handrail walking up and down MSG.
When they have a lot of these guys have good banter. They'll have like comics write for them.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Larry Ambrose writes for Barry Manilow. The great Larry Ambrose, who used to be head writer for Joan Rivers.
God, do I love Barry Manilow.
Oh, it was great. The Manilows, the Fanilows.
The Fanilows. I'm a Fanilo.
Thank you. And everybody knows Mandy was originally Andy. No one wants to talk about it. One of the funniest things in the world when Barry Manilow came out, we're like, yeah, thanks, pal. Yeah. It's, all right, great. Run along now. Okay, great. But the Eagles, the first concert I saw post-pandemic, they were playing at Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
I got bumped from a hit and walked down there and watched the Eagles like 2 years ago.
I saw them at UBS
I saw them at the Garden.
Really good.
Yeah, they played for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
They had Glenn Fry's son, Deacon Fry. He was fantastic.
And who opened? Steely Dan?
Yeah. They showed up. But Joe Walsh had a good line. He was like, it was a lot cooler being 20 in the 70s than it is being 70 in the 20s.
That's really funny.
But it was a good line. And then they played for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And Don Henley sounded good.
I kind of want to see him at the Sphere because I want to see literally anyone at the Sphere.
I know, everyone tells me it's
I haven't
amazing.
been to the Sphere.
We got to plan a Vegas trip.
Yeah, that's right.
Vegas trip is Vegas vacation.
Vegas, baby.
We gotta get Vegas.
We gotta get Mr. Papa Giorgio.
We gotta get Lincoln. Just gotta get Lincoln through the football season. The Clark Rams kick off Saturday against Southside this weekend. Southside is.
Can you put money on that game? What's the line?
Clark's laying, I believe they're getting 2.5. That's what I told Lincoln. I have them as 2.5 based on the conference schedule, strength of schedules and stuff like that. Lincoln's going to join us Friday to preview it. He takes us inside, lets us know how they practice this week, whether any of the motivational tactics work.
Some deep
like
intel.
That. Yeah, no, it matters. I mean, if you're going to bet the games, you can bet the games. There's a lot of, you've met some of the people listening to the show. These are, like half of them think they're joking. They're like, oh, imagine you bet your kids' football games. The other half's like, yeah. Who do you like, Jimmy? What do you got here? I'm still out money from that dance recital you told us to bet on. Come on, man. We got
Joey Lincoln was good at tap.
Yeah, we got real people listening to this show. We are fired up to talk to this next guest, a superstar congressman from the great state of Florida, Greg Steube, joining us on the line. Hey, man.
Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm in good shape right now. Us being 5 days into the NFL season, me and my staff are usually hiding from a bookie by now. But we did good in week 1.
Oh, that's good.
Anytime they're asking
so
me,
the Bucks, by the way. I was surprised they pulled that out.
I know, but we'll take it, right?
Yeah, I'm a Bucks guy.
I know, and he's a gamer. Like, you think about what the Browns have done with their quarterback situation. They had Baker Mayfield, who's a pretty badass guy, and he's a super competitive dude. They've gone through about 12 quarterbacks because they got rid of him, and I still don't think they have one, by the way.
Yeah, he's done a really good job at Tampa.
Amen. We'll take it. Well, you guys are doing a good job up in Washington right now. We were just talking about Tom Homan, deportations, the federal crime crackdown. The argument that's being made from the right is an argument that would protect everybody regardless of who you voted for. If we have less gangbangers, if we have less violence on the streets of D.C., that's not to the benefit of one political party. It's everybody, correct?
Yeah, and what's been amazing to me of this metamorphosis of the Democratic Party where they want to protect gangbangers and murderers and rapists, it started with illegal immigrants. And then when Trump decided to come into the D.C. metro area and take control and start arresting criminals, then it's suddenly we have to defend criminals. And the American people don't want criminals in their area. I mean, look at these numbers are pretty staggering. 2,177 offenders taken off the streets. This is just in D.C. 222 illegal firearms seized, 20 gang members arrested, 7 missing children have been recovered. I would imagine the families of those missing children are really happy that President Trump came in and took over things because clearly Democratic leadership in the city of D.C. and other cities and states of our country is completely incapable of fighting crime because they want to go to the far left and they, I guess, think these people need therapy instead of being thrown in prison. And we've seen with what just happened in Charlotte, that is definitely not the direction to go when you have career criminals that should be in jail.
No, I mean, if you played cops and robbers growing up, it was kind of understood the cops were the good guys. If you were out in the backyard. We're not really doing that right now. Congressman Greg Steube's on the line from the 17th Congressional District of Florida. Give me this one. When it comes to the whole idea of a federal crackdown in places like, obviously, D.C., it's working, and the mayor has extended it. Do you think part of the reason Chicago politicians are opposing this is because it does kind of highlight their indifference to crime? I mean, if it's gotten to this place with one party ruling the city for 60 years, isn't it kind of their failure to own?
Yeah, and they're probably scared to death that if Trump does come in and the people that live in Chicago see a huge difference in their peace of mind and living and crime going down and criminals getting taken off the streets and not every day walking out and somebody getting shot, there's something to see that, maybe these Democratic policies that aren't putting people in jail are bad for the city of Chicago and bad for Illinois. Maybe we should support Republican policies that stand for these things, and we should have a change in leadership in some of these cities. So I bet they're deathly afraid of what is to come when Trump takes over and when the federal government takes over and actually puts law and order back in place. What was interesting in D.C., and Mayor Bowser is definitely a left-leaning liberal Democrat, but she was even accepting of what was going on because she looked at the numbers, and I saw a press conference that she was in where she was reading 90% reduction in overall crime and aggravated crime. There was no murders for that period of time. Murders are down 60% in the district since Trump took over. D.C. had one of the worst murder rates of any city in the world. Like Caracas had a better murder rate than Washington, D.C. did, and it's the capital of our country. So she was even actually saying, look, it's been a positive impact to the city. So it's interesting to see Democrats coming around and saying, oh, you know what he's doing is right.
Yeah, amen. And let me ask you this, as someone who commutes in and out of D.C. for your role in Congress, you must notice the tangible difference when you come through a place like Union Station, right?
I mean, I have had almost not every single, but a majority of my staff has either been mugged, had their cars broken into, had their cars stolen. I actually filed a bill a couple years ago that would allow individuals who work on the Hill who have a DC carry permit to lawfully carry their firearm to a locker at the Capitol, put it in a locker so that when they're walking home, they can put their lawfully carrying firearm back on their person when they walk home. I had a staffer who was mugged right out in front of her house, like right at her front door. It happened all the time. So yeah, there is a marked difference in the crimes, just like these numbers. I mean, you get 2,000 criminals off the streets that were living and committing crimes in D.C. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. The old adage in sports was that, defense wins championships, but they haven't really been interested on their side of the aisle. And I think that's the bigger challenge for the border. I mean, it's obviously working, and Tom Homan and ICE are doing a phenomenal job. But one of the reasons they're in the way of that is I do believe they prefer not only the open border, but the population increase and everything else that comes with it. How are they handling this in the halls of Congress? They can't be happy that the border's shut.
No, and this is a political determination that the Democrats made. Go back to the census and them counting illegals to inflate numbers in California and New York, which ultimately allows California and New York to have more congressional seats than states like Florida and Texas that don't have as many illegals and don't count illegals. It's a huge detrimental effect to the future of our country because you have more Democratic seats that shouldn't be there because they were counted on people that aren't residents, aren't citizens of our countries. If you look at the numbers of like a race like mine in Florida, I have like 300,000 people that vote in my congressional race. If you look at that same race in California or New York, there's like 150,000 people that vote in those congressional races. So you can tell there is a significant difference in numbers. This was a political calculation by the Democrats to let in 12 million people, as many as they could get in, to then flood the zone on all of these different areas to then be able to ratchet their numbers up. And then you have cities like New York that were allowing illegals to vote. This was a political calculation. They didn't care about the safety and security of the American people. They didn't care that 50,000 of those illegals were Chinese Communist Party people, Russians, Afghans coming here to do harm to our country. They cared about their political future, and they knew that if they could get a bunch of illegals in, count them in the census, and then have them vote, that they would be in power forever.
Yeah, true story. We're talking to Representative Greg Steube. I mean, when we think about it here in New York, right? Tomorrow is September 11th. If somebody would have went back 24 years ago when it happened, and told the American people that a political party was going to come along and let tens of millions of people cross the border, including members of the known terror watch list, like we might have arrested them that day, So the idea that, they've been that indifferent to protecting the country is why I don't think anybody can trust them on crime. If you won't protect the border, you're not going to protect the cities, and we've seen them fail to protect the cities. I want to ask you one more thing, though, while we still got you on the line, Greg Steube, because it happened down in the state of Florida. Did you see the mom take the ball from the kid at the baseball game by any chance?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Regardless of what anybody thinks, okay, when a ball gets hit into the stands at a baseball game, first of all, it's nobody's ball. It's a free-for-all.
That's right. It's whoever can get to that sucker first.
And you see people hop fences, run down a level from the upper deck. But regardless of how you get the ball, once it's in the mitt of a child, it's kind of settled law that it's the kid's ball, no?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And obviously, it's funny because there was a group of congressmen who had dinner and all of us played on the baseball team. Yep. There's another guy that was an MLB guy that's running for Congress now. We had a whole conversation about this. And I said, if I was that guy, I would have not reacted the way he did. He was very, very trying to settle the settle the issue, just like not have an argument, let her have the ball.
Yep.
And it worked out well for him because the team, gave him a signed bat and all these kind of things. But that would not have been Greg Steube. My son was not going to be giving that baseball back to some crazy lady.
No, amen. And it's truly amazing because that guy just so didn't see the confrontation coming, and I think he was jarred. But 99% of dads in America would not have made that move. And what's funny about that is that woman found the one Phillies fan who would do that, because I guarantee there's not another Philly fan in America that wasn't throwing a beer in that lady's face, man. Not good.
Yeah, no, that's true too.
You get it. So what did you said a guy from the major leagues running for Congress? What did Mark Teixeira think? You got to let the kid keep the ball, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's baseball.
101.
I mean, and then you see all these other clips of guys catching a home run ball and walking to the nearest kid and giving it to a kid. We had the opportunity to do a Pioneer League game out in Montana during the break in August, and a guy that caught a ball near me gave it to my son. That's just kind of the baseball thing to do. It goes to the kids.
Baseball 101, except for the one lady who looked like she might have been behind the Cracker Barrel logo change, but I don't want to cast any additional aspersions.
100%.
Amen.
You're right on.
Well, Steube, you still got the fastball. Thanks for giving us some time today, man.
Anytime. Good to see you.
You're the best. The great Greg Steube telling you the truth.